This week on Footnotes, a new era of higher education. It was recently announced that Stanford University would be offering a class on the music of Taylor Swift. The class, named The Last Great American Songwriter, Storytelling with Taylor Swift Through the Eras, is a student-initiated course designed to analyze the works of Taylor Swift through various artistic lenses and frameworks. As it turns out, this is the latest in a series of universities offering courses that tackle Swift's music. NYU, Texas University, and Queen's University in Canada have all previously offered similar academic ventures. And oh boy, people have not taken it well. The general consensus I've seen in response to these courses is one of smug mockery, with people taking this as an excuse to laugh at what must be such an obviously shallow, non-academic, and useless class. The majority of people responding to these articles seem to be picturing this course as little more than paying thousands upon thousands of dollars to listen to a musician you enjoy, with little more purpose or broader application than that. Their responses amount to little more than questioning the immediate life skills awarded by this course, lamenting the state of American higher education, as well as the state of the world in general. Of course, we've seen this type of catastrophizing before. Stumbling across this backlash gave me a familiar feeling that I know all too well. I couldn't quite shake it off, so I decided to take a look for myself. Starting with the Texas University in Austin's course, the Taylor Swift Songbook, we can see immediately that things aren't what you may have initially thought. It's described as a course that examines Swift's music through the lens of authorship, authenticity, and gender. Now, such academic analysis of pop music may sound silly until we realize that this is the exact kind of analysis of contemporary art that every school has done, ever. Swift's music isn't even the only material on the syllabus. The second line of this article explains that Swift's works will be examined, and I quote, alongside significant texts in Western literature and canons such as William Shakespeare in order to analyze and contextualize common practices and problems throughout the centuries. So it's not a degree in Taylor Swift, it's a degree that tackles various contextual clues that influence all huge works throughout history, which is the entire purpose of literature analysis. But what about New York University? After all, Swift is an NYU alum, so maybe this course falls into the celebrity worship people seem to be condemning so much. The course description highlights that it will examine the legacy of pop and country songwriters, discourses of youth and girlhood, and the politics of race in contemporary popular music, and goes on to explain that these frameworks will be used to analyze Swift's music as part of a greater historical trend. You know, like you do in an academic course. And it's the same, unsurprisingly, for the Queen's University course. It studies Swift's music alongside canonical literature and seeks to examine and question our perceptions of what literature is. The Faculty of Arts and Sciences head professor, Sam McKegney, described this course as meticulously crafted, rigorous, and relevant, like those of many of our doctoral teaching fellows, before going on to explain that this was a way of applying tools of literary analysis to contemporary texts and time periods that the students live in. This is not a big deal. Universities have always used modern examples to contrast with what we think of as the classics. I mean, when I was studying film at school, they showed us J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. It's important in the art field to look at the old and the new. You know, it's not exactly a new thing, but it's extremely frustrating to see people treating this Stanford story as some sudden downfall of higher education when it's an art department doing what they've always done and studying an artist. Whether or not you like Taylor Swift is a completely separate discussion and one that I don't care to have because it isn't important. Like her or not, she is a significant contemporary artist, so why wouldn't you study her works through the lens of contemporary art studies? I mean, for God's sake, people should really know this by now, considering this isn't even the first time Stanford has announced a course on Taylor Swift. Back in March this year, 2023, Stanford announced that during its winter block, it would be offering a course on Taylor Swift's song All Too Well, the 10-minute version. The course, cleverly named All Too Well 10-week version, is set to provide in-depth analysis of the lyricism and production of the song. This is part of Stanford's Italic 99 program, which offers student-led courses in the arts focusing on hands-on education. These courses last 10 weeks and are designed for students students or alumni to get experience teaching courses with the help of a mentor. It's work experience, basically. It feels misleading to even call it a course, considering these classes are only allotted 1 hour per week. I mean, for God's sake, the homepage of Italic 99 shows the schedule for the All Too Well course. 50 minutes per week. It's hardly the master's degree everyone's making it out to be, is it? The only reason I'm telling you all of this, by the way, is so you can now see how the self-proclaimed largest online progressive news show in the world, The Young Turks, describes this course.
Stanford University is offering an entire course on one Taylor Swift song, kind of. Now, fans believe the song documents Taylor's brief relationship with actor Jake Gyllenhaal in 2010. And obviously you need to shell out thousands of dollars to learn about that.
So these guys really fell at the first hurdle, didn't they? This entire video just serves to make fun of a university for its choice of musician to study. There's no engagement with what's actually being taught or how it applies, just the same level of clickbait misinformation and outrage farming that these guys have spent years supposedly fighting against. As a side note, in preparation for this video, I actually sat down and watched the entire 10 minutes of All Too Well, and it's fine. I'm not this song's target audience, I'm not really a big fan of Taylor Swift in general, besides that one song she made with Bon Iver, but looking at this short film through the lens of a media student, there is a lot to discuss here. It's a biographical song that was later extended, then later turned into a short film. There's 3 different layers of art here that can be unpacked in their own way. Even though I'm not a Swiftie by any means, I can still see why it serves as a rich source of discussion for art students. But when these presenters, who you're supposed to trust as a reliable source of information, describe this course, all you end up with is wild speculation as to the educational value that it provides.
I don't mind, leaning on one musical artist to kind of entice students to enroll in your class. I just want to make sure they're getting something decent out of it.
Or rampant speculation as to how much it costs.
And also, how much are students paying for this?
Which all hinges on this being an official degree that Stanford is offering, which it isn't. Anna even concludes the video by reiterating that it isn't even about the academics, but simply because of the music choice, which is the entire reason this story was produced.
Our producer, Kate Bettino, is the one who both pitched and produced this story. I thought she was upset because the annual tuition at Stanford is $56,169, and a course like this seems like a waste of money. But no, she's a deadhead. So I think it's more about the music selection here. And I get it, Kate, I see you.
A deadhead, by the way, is somebody who listens to the Grateful Dead. Bear in mind that these courses are looking to modernize musical analysis. If somebody could tell the Young Turks that a band that stopped producing music 30 years ago is no longer considered contemporary, I'd appreciate it. But this casual disregard for art that you don't approve of is still seen in the most recent Backlash. The course that Stanford most recently announced isn't even an official class, it's a student-instructed course which makes no contribution to a student's GPA. But again, it's being used to disregard the entirety of higher education as meaningless fluff that won't help you find a real job. It's being used to fuel an attitude that seeks to paint every study as either functional in an industrial society or completely useless. And it's being used as an argument in favor of gatekeeping education. This most recent story broke around a week after student loan forgiveness was rejected by the American Supreme Court. Many of the comments under these newer articles are looking to justify these decisions, asking if a master's degree in shaking it off is what their tax dollars might have gone towards if education was publicly funded. And this is why this topic is so infuriating to talk about. There's already such a negative perception of liberal arts and arts in general. Mentions of underwater basket weaving in reference to supposedly useless arts degrees are common in discussions like these. No matter what skills you can actually actually be taught by these courses or their greater applications towards later careers, you'll be looked down upon as some stereotype these people have already created and upheld. There's so much bad blood, and that's a dangerous place to be during the debate of accessibility in education. These guys have made up their minds on the pursuits they approve of and those they don't. They're fueling a rabid anti-intellectualism that seeks to disregard the very thing that they themselves could benefit from. This backlash is symptomatic of a greater problem in society, a problem that's only going to get worse the more stratified and divided the attitude towards education becomes. These people creating this backlash don't know the truth of what these courses offer because they don't care to know. They've decided a long time ago that it isn't worth it, and rather than allow others to access those tools of critical thinking, they seek only to justify why those tools are instead worthless. By bringing down the esteem of higher education, by looking at it only through their own biased, skewed, and misguided lens, and never allowing it to be anything other than what they already view it as. Useless. God, I've made it all depressing now, haven't I? Look what you made me do.